RC family. What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the RC Lounge. Boogie Trigger, what's up? Barb RC, what's going on? Hey, y'all, welcome to another episode of RC Lounge. Got a pioneer in the industry, Mr. Eddie Laret, on the lounge tonight just to talk with us about just maintenance, man, keeping our cars running good, just making sure everything's tight, just make sure we go over everything, make sure we last out there when we racing or bashing, or even if we doing our field scale stuff, just making sure our maintenance is on point. Like y'all, go back to my last video I dropped. I was talking about maintenance, and I was in a race this past week, a week before last, and I had a couple of flame outs and my starter box, you know what I'm saying, quit working, but fortunately I got everything back going, and we're just gonna talk about maintenance. So we're gonna go through those situations when we out there racing or bashing. So let me bring Eddie in, and we're just gonna talk a little bit. Hold on, y'all, let me bring him in. Eddie, what's up, man?
What's happening, buddy?
What's going on, brother? Hey, like I say, man, just
dying out here in this California heat.
Hey, it's just as bad down here in the South too. So, but yeah, man. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm Corey Jordan, man. They call me EKJ 24,000 on YouTube, brother. And this is just my RC family, man. We just, like I said, this is a laid back crowd, man. We talk about RC, we can talk about life, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a family for real. So that's why I call it my RC family more than my subscribers. So
Gotcha.
So yeah, and we just love the hobby, man. So Eddie, tell everybody who you are and where you're from, man.
Oh yeah. So my name's Eddie Laret. I've been heavily involved in this hobby since I was probably about 10 years old. Once I got a little bit older, I took a job as a professional motorcycle mechanic for about 10 years. So I kind of had to step away from the hobby for a little bit because it was very time consuming. We raced dirt bikes on the weekends, traveling, so on and so forth. So it just the RC thing didn't fit in the schedule at the current time. So once about 11 years ago, I stepped out of that, had some kids and stuff, and just that travel life didn't work for my family and my kids. So I stepped out of that, got what I like to call a real job, a 9-to-5-er. And, I was like, well, shoot, this is a good opportunity to maybe get back into racing again and see where it went. So, yeah, I've been pretty hot after it, racing RC for pretty solid the last, 7-8 years. I've been going pretty hard. So, it's kind of a little backstory of myself.
I got you. So, man, what was your first car? What car did you your first car you got when you really start getting into RC?
Tamiya Frogger.
The Tamiya Frog. That's popular. Everybody says that. Yeah.
So I live. My dad bought me my first car. He lived in Northridge, California, and we lived on a golf course. So our backyard was wide open and everything. So I thought, well, man, this is going to be awesome. I could take it off down the hill onto the golf course and drive it all on the golf course and try to jump some stuff. Man, I set that thing down on the patio, grabbed the throttle, and made a left and went straight into the swimming pool. That was the end of my Tamiya Frogger.
So you tried to see, was that Tamiya Frogger for real frog, huh?
Exactly. It was looking for a lily pad.
That's what's up.
You had to go in the house and explain to my dad what happened. That didn't go over very well, but he took me down to the local track at that time was Race Prep. So he took me down to Race Prep. We then bought the Blackfoot, a big monster truck. So I had the Tamiya Blackfoot. That one I drove, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years. I bashed around that on the golf course. And then we would go down to Race Prep every Friday night, and I'd watch the club racing down there. And I told my dad, I said, hey, I want I want to try this. I want to try to get a competitive car and try to race this. And my older brother had the more race style car, but he didn't really to the racing. So my dad said, "We'll take his car. We'll take his
Yeah.
car down there, and we'll go down there." And
Okay.
the gentleman that owned the track at the time, his name was Steve Dunn, which I
Steve.
later in the years became a really, really good friend with. You know, he ran a series in Southern California, some of the best club racing, I guess you could call it. It was
Right.
series
Yeah, I
race, but it
heard
was
of it.
club
Yeah.
racing. Yeah, yeah.
Steve
So,
Turner. Yeah.
yep. So we went down there, and man, it was history from there. We
Okay.
started
So
racing and kind of got into it.
okay. So basically, like I said, you got started racing, basically going to that Steve Dunn race
Yep.
series and stuff like that. So after when you got into it, what car did you have then when you started racing for real on the track? What car did you have then?
That was gonna be. It was a team associated buggy,
Okay.
and I'm gonna say that was probably like, God, maybe B2 era,
Okay.
B2, B3.
Yeah.
You know, real early, like Novak speed controllers type of. It was real early.
Yeah.
You know, I would say about that period, I was probably 12, 13 years old then.
Okay. Okay. So what from now, man, um what classes did you run? I know that B2, B3, that area was electric 10 scale
Yep.
era. So what all classes did you develop
Just,
into?
you know, I started in, you know, obviously rookie. You know, back
Right.
then they had a rookie class or a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
And I hung out there for probably about 5 or 6 race weekends. So, you
Okay.
know, almost 2 months.
Yeah.
And then they, Steve and Marty Korn was actually big at that track. Chad Bradley hung out
Right.
there a lot, you know, and
Okay.
I don't want to say those guys mentored me or anything, but I looked up to them.
Yeah.
And so we, you know, we kind of moved to the sportsman or the stock. You know, back then it was 19 turn brush motors. You know, we didn't have brushless back then.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents were divorced, so my racing was kind of split. You know, I would spend weekends down there in Northridge, and then the other weekends that I would race, I would spend in Santa Clarita at a track called Fast Lane Hobby, which is now known as Hot Rod Hobbies.
Hot rod. Okay.
So, yep. So I spent a lot of time there. When I got there, that's when I got kind of linked up with some of the other kids. There was a younger kid, Doug Scripture, who ran for TLR. He was a hotshot local kid.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, Jimmy Babcock, Cody King, Jerry Tebow. They all kind of came through that track, you know, as young kids as me. So I kind of hooked onto them, and they were kind of who I looked up to at that time. Jeremy Courts was
Yeah.
another really, really fast racer back then, who actually is one of my really good friends now. So,
Okay. Yeah. I'm supposed to
yeah,
have yeah, man. I'm supposed to have courts on here um in the near future. You know what I'm saying? We
yeah,
we had we had it planned out, but life happened, so we had to
for
reschedule.
sure,
So yeah,
for
he
sure.
coming back on, and maybe I can bring you back both, then we can double
Yeah.
team up
Oh,
and
yeah.
talk about some stuff. But yeah, but
Yep.
okay. So you did the electric, and like I said, then you did the tour drive buggies, and so
Uh-huh.
what else did you get into? When did you end up getting into like the nitro side of it and all
So
that?
I transitioned to a gas truck. Jared
Okay.
Tebow's dad, Bruce Tebow.
Right.
Um, I bought a gas truck, and he took me up to the shop. They were running for Team Associated at the time. He took me up
Mm-hmm.
to the shop there at Fast Lane Hot Rod, and basically laid me out. Hey, this is what you need. Buy all this stuff. Give it to
Right.
me, and I'll build it for you. So I gave it to him. He built it for me. I raced gas truck for quite a few years. And
Yeah.
then somebody brought out a Kyosho 777,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
the
Good.
guy
Yeah.
drove it. The guy drove it one time. A scale buggy, drove it one time, and he was like, "I was saying for me, you know, I've always had a two-stroke motocross background. I rode dirt bikes my whole life. So the minute I
Yeah.
saw that, the
Yeah.
scale of it, and how noisy it was, and what it could go through without having any, breakage or anything like that. I said, the guy came off the track and he's like, man, he was upset. I'm selling this
Right.
thing. I'm over it. I said, how
Yeah.
much you want? How much you want?
I
I'll buy it right now.
I
And
take it. That's right.
that was
Yeah.
it, man. I gave me a price. I called my mom, hey, can we get this? My mom said, sure, if that's what you really want, we'll get that. So I got it, and that was it. I've been a primarily A scale guy from there on out. I mean, that's really it. I have 10 scale stuff. So I'm actually building a brand new kit right now for the
Okay.
upcoming season, but I do have 10 scale cars that I
Yeah.
drive at my local track and do Jimmy's JBRL series and stuff like that. I don't do any of
Cool.
the bigger events in 10 scale. It's
Mm-hmm.
I'm more an A scale guy. I like the longer races. I like
Okay.
to sit up there, and race your way into main events. Not just
Got
have 2 crashes and the race is over.
I got you. I got you. So yeah, man. So since you're racing, you got into it, established yourself in it, man. So to the guys that's thinking about getting into 1A scale racing or either 10 scale, getting into racing period. What kind
Right.
of advice would you give them? The ones that's kind of like on that fence, kind of really want to try it at least, you know what I'm saying? And coming from
Yeah.
like the basher world and want to get into
Yeah.
racing, what would you advise them?
Yeah. So the first thing I would tell anybody that wants to step into any form of racing the RC cars, whether it's on road, off road, the U4 class, whatever, A scale, 10 scale, doesn't matter.
Right.
I would for sure, first thing I would do is I would visit my local tracks. I would
Okay.
visit the people that you're going to be racing around, see what cars are very supported in that area, because
Yeah.
you're going to need help, right? And you don't always want to turn to the internet. I mean, you could always go to YouTube, you can always go to Google. Any of these platforms are going to give you the information you need, but in a racing form, I like to be hands-on. I
Right.
want someone to show me, like, hey, if you make these changes, it's going to make your car do this. So
Okay.
that's what I tell everybody that I see these people pop up in my local tracks, and you can see them. They're sitting in the bleachers with their mom and their dad, their kids. It's usually on a Friday night in, like, say, Thunder Alley at the park where there's baseball going on. They venture
Right.
over after the baseball game, and you could see the enthusiasm in these kids. I mean, they're just glowing to want to get one of these cars. So the first thing is, see what's supported in your local area. Know if you break an arm, you can walk into the hobby shop or you can see a local racer and he's going to have that part to keep you running.
That's
Because
it.
like anything in the world nowadays, everything's so expensive. So to get a car going is pretty hefty fee. So, like I try to explain to some of these manufacturers as I was managing some of the racing teams,
Okay.
we can't expect all these people to switch from, say, hot bodies to TLR, go buy all these cars and get all this stuff going to be able to race. And on top of that, go buy $300-400 worth of spare parts. It's hard. So
Right.
you want to make sure that your local crowd is able to help support,
Support.
if you break a car, you break an arm, you break a shock eyelet, a ball stud, and you don't happen to have that part, you could go to somebody and be like, hey, I got the B74.3, or I got the TLR 22 5.0 BK
Right.
edition. I broke this arm. Can you help me out? Yeah, no problem. Here's an arm. Order me a replacement.
Right.
And you continue to race. And I'll be honest with you, man, that's how I made a lot of my friends in RC.
That's it. Yeah.
I support, I buy a lot of stuff. I race a lot. I have a lot of parts in my Ogio bags that I travel to races with.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've given, prior to DNC this year, which is, a large event, I gave a guy a set of caster blocks, which cost me,
Right. They're
retail
not cheap.
$70.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy broke his caster blocks. He had plastic caster blocks. He broke them, and he couldn't finish racing. And I gave him a set of caster blocks, and I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him, hey, make sure you replace those or whatever. I just said, hey, there's a set of caster blocks. Put them on your car. Get running.
Get running.
About
That's it, man.
3 weeks later, that guy handed me a set of caster blocks back. And I said, wow.
That's
I told
it.
him, I actually told him, I said, off of good faith, I want you to take the old caster blocks that are on your car now,
Uh-huh.
give those back to me and put the brand new ones on that you bought.
That's it.
Because I
That's
want you
awesome.
to have the fresh ones on the car, not, I'm keeping the old ones for spare, so it's all good.
Right. And that's what I'll be trying to tell my family, man. If you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence and you're kind of nervous about it, just go on out there and then
Yep.
show your face, make yourself known. Just talk around, mingle, talk to the people. And once you get there, we gonna take care of each other because we want everybody to have a good
Exactly.
time and come back. And and once eventually we want you to bring somebody with you too. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah, so don't be afraid to talk, even though it may seem like when you walk in, nobody wants to talk.
Exactly.
Sometimes it may take you to go ahead on and break that ice and just talk to
Exactly.
whoever's by you, to get you going and get you in the hobby and get you
Yep.
racing. So yeah, man. So okay, from your racing, man, how did the mechanic situation come about?
So, like I said, previous to RC, I was a professional motorcycle mechanic. So I've always had that mentality of helping other people, using my mechanic ability to link up
Mhm.
with, somebody that can drive a car a lot better than me. And
Okay.
there's two enjoyments, right? There's obviously the enjoyment of racing and winning. And then there's
Yeah.
also the enjoyment of, hey, I might not be as good as those guys, but if I could help that guy in the
Right.
pit lane or whatever, he wins, we win together as a team, I get that excitement. So
Mhm.
I got heavily involved with HB Racing. Victor Guerrero was a team manager at the time. He was a really, really one of my best friends. And
Right.
we kind of ran the team. We hired Cody King. Cody King came to
Okay.
Hot Bodies. And
Right.
Cody, at that time, Cody was, going through some stuff personally, and
Right.
his dad, who was his longtime mechanic, wasn't around. They kind of separated. So Cody needed some help. So I told Cody, hey, let me help you out. I
Cool.
talked to the
Yeah.
guys at Hot Body, Adrian Bertine and them, and
Yeah.
they said, yeah, that'd be awesome, man. If you could help them out on local level, be a full-time, guy basically at the races, so we don't have to worry about that. Rent
Yeah.
on his stuff. Like, that's just going to be awesome for the team. And I said, yeah, no problem. So I did it. I did it
Right.
through the remainder of Cody's contract with HB.
Right.
And then I kind of helped put the whole deal together for Cole Ogden to come to Hot Bodies. So when we
That's
finally
what's
got
up.
that transfer, when we
So
finally got
yeah.
that transfer done, I just kind of rolled into that. It was kind of the same thing. I just
Okay.
rolled in, started helping Cole,
Mm-hmm.
flew to a bunch of races as a mechanic, and yeah, that was kind of how that mechanic thing took place.
That's what's up, brother. From that field, you working with Cody King, you working with Cole Ogden, which is Cole's cutting up right now too over there in the world
Yes,
at
sir.
the world in Spain. He
Yep.
did real
Yep.
good today. I
Yep.
think they had I think the last qualifier he was on
Yep.
fire. He did real good. So I know
Yeah.
he's qualified in the semis right now. I think at least
Yes,
in the
sir.
top 10. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I believe he's sitting 12th right now. So
yeah. So
that's
that's good.
phenomenal, man. To go to the
Yeah.
like
That's real
we
good.
spoke earlier, go to that uncharted territory,
Yeah.
track surface and just in an environment that we don't race on. The European
Right.
stuff's a lot different than
Yeah.
ours. And for those guys to go over there, Dakota Fan, Ryan Mayfield, Tebow, I mean, those guys are talented, right? Obviously, they do it for a living. They could drive,
Right.
a shoe. I would say they could drive a shoebox with wheels, but still,
Right.
to go over there at that level and be able to elevate your game to get into to be a competitive, man, I tip my hat to those boys. That's a lot of
Yeah,
work.
man. It's tough, man. Like I said, going over there
It
to a
is.
place you really don't race on all the time, and then you have to first of all just adjust to the environment, being in that atmosphere, and then from that go on to racing, and then trying to figure out your setup, and then
Yep.
trying to get up to speed to the guys that's used to that, surface and
Yeah,
stuff, and so
for sure.
I see now. It makes sense. I see why the worlds give you pretty much a week's worth of practice. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense
Yes, sir.
now. Yeah, it
Yes, sir.
finally that light finally went on like today. Really, why they had longer than they have now. They had longer than that to
Right.
practice and get stuff together. But at least they gave you basically 6 days to get your stuff together and get ready for the main race, which is on. I think it's gonna be on Saturday. I think so.
Yes.
So yeah, man. But yeah, man. So we're working with Cole and working with Cody King. Like I say, Hot Bodies gave me my first chance as far as like sponsorship. HB gave me
Yep.
my first sponsorship, and I still run the truck. The truck, this is the truck because I run for JQ and Miyako, but I still run the HB truck right now.
Okay.
So yeah, man, and so yeah, I've always been loyal to HB because they gave me my first little shot. You know what I'm saying? So
For sure.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, from that, man. So far as being a mechanic, man, um how has that role like benefit you far as like traveling? What all places you been? You know what I'm saying? Being a mechanic for like a pro driver and stuff like that. How has that exposed you to traveling to different places and stuff like that? What all places you been
So,
doing that?
like I said, prior to that,
Uh-huh.
I pretty much touched soil in every state in our country
Okay.
because motocross mechanics, we travel 30 different weeks out of the year to 30 different states for the
Yeah.
most part. So traveling for me, I wasn't a rookie at it. I knew the whole thing. What was cool on the RC side was seeing, so the same thing, kind of the same thing. I grew up in Southern California racing. We always had this one style dirt. And most of
Yep.
our tracks, we raced on that one style dirt. So now
Right.
when you go, down south, Louisiana, Georgia, then you head up to like Indiana, you see these different soils, these different track surfaces and different tire stuff. So that to me was the coolest thing in RC was like not just going to Indiana like state line. I went there with Cody. I think that was 17 for the Roar Nationals at Dakota Fens, like Chloe's parents' house track.
Right.
That track in the back
Uh-huh.
of their property. But I mean, it's just like being there and driving on those tracks, and it's like it's so much different, like going down south and getting on that clay. Like
Right.
I almost call it like a garage floor surface. It gets super polished. It's
Right.
really slick. Tire saucing, tire compounds. It becomes a tire, game to keep the car on the track. So that for me was what was the coolest, is like getting to learn all these different track environments and aspect of what rubber actually works at these different tracks.
Right.
So that was the coolest part. I mean, obviously going and wrenching or winning or doing good is always a feather in the hat. Like
Uh-huh.
makes Sunday night, cocktails a little more enjoyable. But I don't know this. It was good, dude. Nothing against wrenching for those two guys.
Right.
I had some of the best times in my life racing with those guys and traveling side by side and winning and losing together. It still was good times.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, since I've turned a leaf on that program and really spent 100% in my program, treated myself like I was the factory racer, I definitely had a lot. My program got a lot better.
Understand that. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Okay. From all your travels and stuff like that, man, and all the wrenching you've done and helping out everybody, man. So just for us racers and bashers and even some of the fifth scale guys, I always want to know, man, when do you know that your kit is clapped out? What I mean by clapped out mean wore out. When is it? When do you typically know when it's time to build you something fresh or go with a new kit, or is it good to run that kit that's kind of loose and and just run it like it is. Because most of the time, sometimes when it's like that, it usually be the fastest. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
what you think on that
So
situation?
I grew up, so I'm super meticulous. I got a lot of OCD in my program.
Yeah.
My workbench, like everything that I do when I build kits, my setup, I mean, everything clean, organizes. My wrenches all sit, in the numeric size orders. I mean, my area is super. It's clean. It's put together well. So uh, when it comes to my cars,
Uh-huh.
there's a kind of two mentalities in racing that I like to run. Loose is fast. So
Yeah.
coming from a hot bodies, obviously you run a hot bodies truck.
Mm-hmm.
That car is pretty loose out of the box, right? I mean, you build it and it comes
Right.
pre-built with a little bit of slop.
Right.
So as the car continues to break in, it gets sloppier, right? Well, we found over the years when we tighten the car back up, it's like starting all over. The car gets tight, it doesn't have as much traction. You kind of got to change the setup a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, myself, because of how I build my cars with
Yeah.
titanium screws, ceramic bearings, or in my A scale stuff, I run J&T bearing products with
Okay.
Lunsford screws. So I run NMB bearings. So
Right.
what I try to do is I try to keep the car within a limit that I like to see. So when I
Okay.
go to the track, obviously if my car's breaking every time I put it on the track,
Yeah.
it needs to be freshened up, right?
Need
I
to
mean,
fix
it's
it.
past. We went past its life expectancy. It needs to be tuned up.
Okay.
So at that point, depending on where I'm sitting in the season, will determine what I'm going to do to my car. So
Okay.
if I have a block of races coming up, right, I don't want to jump into these races with a fresh car, new outdrives, new drive bones, that everything's got to re-break in. That
Right.
takes some time to break in.
Yeah.
That's not the time to say, you know what, my car's clapped out. I want to build a new one. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of timing and a lot of preparation on the race side for me personally in my
Mm-hmm.
program. Um, I generally have practice cars and race cars in the
Yeah.
nitro buggies. I usually have one e-buggy, one truggy, one two-wheel buggy, and one four-wheel buggy. That's kind of the program that I've ran over the past 3 years, 4 years of racing.
Yeah.
So my e-buggy and my nitro truggy don't get raced or drove unless there's a part to be tested or there's something I want to try to improve on from the last major race, or I'm at a major race, a DNC, a Silver State, a TNR field race, something of that caliber. I don't bring those trucks to one-day club races. It's a lot of wear and tear on the vehicles. Tires are expensive.
Yeah.
Fuel, engines. That's not my preferred class. My preferred class is 1A scale nitro buggy. So
Yeah.
that's the car that gets beat on a week-to-week basis. That's the car that gets brought out, and that's the car that gets drove the most.
Okay.
So there is in my eyes, there is no like, oh, I ran 4 gallons through my car. Now I need to put new arms on it.
Okay.
Or, oh, I did this, this amount of races. I've done 4 JBRLs and I got a summer break. So now I want to do a full rebuild on my car. For me, that's not how my program works. My program
Right.
works off of how much time's on the parts,
Right.
how fragile is that part, how durable is that part,
Yeah.
and what's my timeline to have time to transfer that part. Like I'll put parts on my practice car and I'll go
Okay.
run 2 or 3 days out of the local track, say drive lines, Outdrives. I'll
Yeah.
pull those parts back out of that car, clean them up, and I'll put them in my parts bin. So that
Yeah.
way, if I'm at a race and I ever break an outdrive or a dog bone, it's already pre-broken in. It's ready
Already
to
broke
go.
in. That makes
Put it
sense.
in the car and you don't skip a beat.
Right.
So generally, my practice car, I don't have. I mean, I would show you my program, but TLR, we just released our new A scale, so
Hey, still,
I'm in
yeah.
the middle. I'm in the middle of building all my new kits. But I have a cycle, and basically it goes through the practice car, drivetrain parts, go through the practice car, and then end up in the race car.
Yeah.
And then all the new stuff sits in the box, and I'll have one spare of every part broken, ready
Yeah.
to go.
Ready to go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
I mean, I travel, like for instance, when I go to major events, I'll have 2 or 3 sets of shocks already pre-built. These are already pre-labeled with what pistons. This is stuff left over from Silver State that's already pre-built, that I know, hey, if the track in the evening, the track gets, colder or hotter,
Right.
I know these shocks are built ready to go. I pull them out, I slap them on the car, and then when I wake up the next morning and the track's back to smooth and watered, I bring the
Put
other
it over.
shocks out. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not you just got to use judgment. I think that's the
Yeah,
best way to answer that question.
I
Is it's
got you.
all judgment based upon A, what you can afford, and B, how you like your car to feel on the track. Some
On
people
the
like
track.
tight cars. Some
Yeah,
people like loose cars. It's all driver preference. And that's why I said, it's not like, oh, I've raced this many races and I need to do this. Or,
right.
oh, I have 4 gallons on my car, I need to rebuild it.
That makes sense. And like you said, with that type of program, you also not only you have parts that's already broke in, you also have you're also saving time. You gotta
Yes, sir.
go and rebuild this and dig this out, and then do break it down all the way down, then build it back up. When you can just go on, put your parts on there, and then get your stuff ready, then make go on to something else that may need some attention. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, sir.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
So yeah, Eddie. So what's your checklist, man? When you get ready to prepare for a race, what do you go through what you look at as far as like going through your car? What do you check? The main things you usually check when you get ready to prepare for a race.
So if I'm going to prepare for a club race,
Yeah.
obviously I'm going to clean my car up. I'm going to make sure all my bearings are free floating. I'm going to check my clutch. I'm going to pull my shocks off, check all my hinge pins, make sure I have no bind in my car whatsoever, because
Okay.
that obviously will make the car handle incorrectly. So, at a club level, that's pretty much all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Rebuild the diff oils, probably freshen up the shocks. I'll empty the shocks. I live in elevation. I live at about 3,800 feet, close to
Mm-hmm.
4,000. So if I'm going down the hill to race, I'm not going to build my shocks till I get down there, so they don't build up with air in them with the emulsion. But
Okay.
really, that on a local level, that's all I'm going to do going to JBRL. On a national level,
Right.
I'm going to start out with a fresh set of arms. I'm going to
Okay.
check all my hinge pins and make sure nothing's bent. I might replace hinge pins. I might replace O-rings in a shock. 100% going to replace diff O-rings, because the diff
Okay.
O-rings swell up. Replace all that stuff. New fluids all the way around. That's really it. I mean, on the A-scale platform stuff, these cars are they're built for backyard bashing. I know we all like to call them race cars, but they're
Right.
really backyard bashers. They're built durable to get beat up. So,
Right.
I don't waste parts. I don't waste my sponsors, parts that I buy from them at a discounted price, because I want them to have those parts to sell to the bashers to be able to keep them going. So that's my program before any major event,
Yeah.
which is in my category is 3 events: DNC, Silver State, and Nationals. Car will always start with a new chassis. I
Uh-huh.
found in previous years with the TLR stuff, when I start with a fresh chassis, the chassis kind of got an arc to it
Right.
upward. So as the chassis sets in, it'll get flat, it'll kind of bow a little bit. The
Uh-huh.
car works a little bit better with a stiffer chassis on it. So,
Okay.
and I'm speaking previous 2.0. I don't have any time on my 2.0 stuff yet, so I don't know that could be the same character, but I'm
Yeah.
still my program for 2022
Yeah.
was phenomenal. DNC, Silver State, and Chris's TNR race.
Uh-huh.
I forgot. I think I entered 13 classes over those 14 classes over those 3 events, which are all in a block of 3 months, 4 months,
Right. So a
and
lot of
pretty
run
much,
time in. Mm-hmm.
yeah, pretty much podiumed every class. Won a
That's
couple
what's up.
championships and
Yeah.
a lot of TQs, and yeah, it was really good. So my program was prepared, me and my
Yeah.
father-in-law, who does all my mechanicing at the races and
Mm-hmm.
is my pit guy, we put a lot of work in going into these events, getting the cars where we wanted them,
Right.
and it showed. It showed, man. We got a lot of hardware and we turned a lot of heads.
That's what's up.
So
That's what's up.
that
Yeah, that hard work
that's
paid off. That's what's up,
yes, sir.
man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Ed, I'm thinking about real soon. I'll be getting that Miyako kit in, man. And
Yep.
so when you get ready to build a new kit, man, what's some of the things that you do just to make sure that kit performs like it's supposed to, or even better? What's some things you do?
Yeah. So when I build a new kit, when I build a
Mhm.
kit from fresh, any kit, 8 scale, 10 scale, it's 8 scale is about an 8 hour, 10 scale is about an 8 hour build for me, electronics and everything. 10
Okay.
scales, it takes me a couple of days to put an 8 scale kit together.
Right.
Because I'm just checking everything. When you put hinge pins in, you put the arms on, I'm making sure everything's floating. I'm making sure everything's shimmed right. Like a lot of these cars that maybe aren't, you know, a new kit, molds haven't been changed. The molds are getting a little sloppy. Things are coming out of the box a little sloppy.
Right.
I take the time to make sure everything floats free, everything has the right correct amount of shimming. I don't want to see arms too tight. I don't want to see them too loose. I don't want to
Okay.
see. I want to see ball cups, or tie rods. I want to see them floating. I don't want to see them bound up and stuck because that'll hold arms up.
Right.
Pretty much every kit I build gets different bearings out of the box. Not
Okay.
that I don't trust the stock bearings or I have a problem with them.
Right.
I don't want to have to take this car apart and 10 tanks and replace all the bearings. So I keep a bearing box heavily stocked with bearings, JT bearing products, and I pretty much build all my A scale stuff with NMBs, metal shielded, and I
Uh-huh.
built all my 10 scale cars with ceramic, oil filled ceramic bearings,
Yeah.
which, like I said, you get them all from Tyler and Jenny over at JT Bearing Co. Um,
Okay.
that's pretty much. And then you're going to look at setup sheets
Yeah.
for whatever's in your area. You're going to see what option parts those drivers are recommending to run. I know our new car that just came out. We have a few 4-degree inclination spindles, so we changed to a 4-degree inclination spindle on our new kit. So this is
Okay.
an option part. So this is all built, ready to go in one of my cars. So yeah, it's just you're going to want to see what option parts are needed in the car. Unfortunately,
Right.
RC doesn't. No manufacturer, it's not a knock to one of them, no manufacturer sells a car that you build out of the box, you throw it on the track, and it's the best that the car can be. It
I
can be
got
decent,
you. Right.
but it's not the best the car can be. So there's
So
always a part you're going to need.
so what's the parts that you have noticed like building the new Losi kit? What parts you have noticed that it needed to
So our new kit, I grabbed my e-buggy because I'm in the middle of building right now. So our
Okay.
new kit didn't get near the amount of option parts in the kit that you would normally see in maybe some of the other kits
Uh-huh.
because we decided, the guys at TLR, Dunford, and those guys decided to do what's called like a 2-in-1 kit. So you
Okay.
buy this kit and you can either build it nitro or you can build it electric. It gives you all those parts in the kit. So when you do that, obviously they got to cut back on some of these aluminum parts because the cost it just would be outrageous.
Right.
So
Makes sense.
in this kit, in this e-buggy, for instance, I went ahead and put, it comes with plastic caster blocks. I went ahead and put aluminum caster blocks.
Okay.
This is an aftermarket 4-degree incline spindle that we were buying until
Right.
TLR released their own spindle. So
Okay.
those two things in my eyes, I run 20-degree caster blocks.
Yeah.
Those two things in my eyes are a must on our cars. You have
Okay.
to have those two parts.
Yeah.
The other two parts that are 3 parts that are very important on this car, aluminum servo horn. You
Yeah.
don't want to run the plastic one. It ain't going to last. We already know that. I honestly wouldn't even put that in the kit. I would just leave it out and let the people buy the aluminum one. It's because it's kind of, to me, it's like false advertisement. You put that thing in there, people build their car with it, especially your newbies, your
Right.
first timers, your backyard bashers. They build,
Mhm.
they get excited, they go out, they hit the first tree stump or the first jump, that thing strips. Now they're done. They
It's
don't have
over
no
with.
drive.
Right.
The other two parts I think that are really important on our car is the aluminum servo saver mount, the top plate.
Yeah.
That
I
comes
got
plastic
you.
in our kit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're probably really hard to see, but this clamping nut that holds our spring.
Okay.
So that's another thing that has a screw in it. So you can clamp it down, set your set your spring tension, and then lock it down, and it won't come loose. Other than that, those are the critical parts you need for the car.
Yeah.
I've added, this is going to be my race e-buggy for this year and next. So I've added the J&T titanium fin turnbuckles.
Yeah.
I've added, this car has all Lunsford titanium screws on the top. I don't put them in the bottom. There's no need for it. They're just going to get destroyed on the hard track surfaces.
Right.
And then we do have a host. We have some aluminum rear hubs that are coming out that have the carbon plate, so you can raise and lower the camber link height. We have some different steering plates that are coming, an A and a B, to change your Ackerman status. So we do have some option parts that are coming. They haven't been released yet. So personally, myself, I don't have any feedback on them. I know Barry Baker and Don Vinkelmolder and some of our local guys that help Ryan Dunford with testing. They've all ran them, and there's a time and a place for them. So there was a reason for them to be made.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's really it. You're just looking. I try to keep my cars as most TLR as I can. If there's a part, I mean, everyone knows these right here are like HB shock springs.
Yeah, yellow.
Everyone runs them. You see these springs on, Mugen cars, Associated cars, TLR cars.
Right,
You'll see
JQ
them on
cars.
them all. JQ, yes.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, these are Techno springs. We run Techno springs on the rear of our Truggy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some parts I think some of the manufacturers finally, they're like, you know what, instead of going and making a whole new spring line,
right,
we'll just buy another manufacturer's spring until it's time for a revision, and then we'll do it.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I think Will Blevins had a comment. He was wondering, did you see his comment? It was saying that also, he was saying he's swapping out the Outdrives for the 1.0 because of the axle popping out issue. Even when the updated, even with the updated cups, I guess it's still popping out. So
yeah,
what kind of advice would you give him for that?
So our 2.0 car even was having the same issue because we have a square pill now, and you can move the arm. You can go wider track width, narrow track width, and we were having an issue with that. So this is a scenario where on my 1.0, I actually ran hot bodies, Outdrives, and universals on the whole car. So I know that drivetrain. I'm comfortable with that drivetrain because I ran it for so many years. And I decided, you know what, the Outdrive slides right in. You just go back to the old style where you run the shim on the inside to take some of the run out. Yeah. But so I run a hot bodies Outdrive. The hardness of the material is a little bit better than the 1.0 Outdrive. Yeah. And I think you'll find not only will it enhance the car making the duration, it will also enhance the performance of the car.
Yeah, he says he had the 2.0. That's what he was talking about, was the 2.0.
Okay, so, 2.0 right now.
Yeah.
2.0 right now, we're running the Mugen HD Outdrive.
Okay.
So, and we only run it in the front. You don't need it in the rear because the track width in the rear where we're running right now, because we're running narrow track width, we don't have too many problems with that. The front, we're having problems with it because we're widening the front pivot, and when the car leans or lands on the arm hard, it'll shoot it out. It'll pop it out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
See
sure
what?
TLR's addressing that too.
Right. Okay. But yeah, man. Hey, y'all, if y'all got any questions, y'all pop them up and we'll let Eddie answer them if he don't mind. I know he got to go in a few minutes, but yeah, man. As far as only thing else I really had, brother, was just when you getting your car ready for 30-minute main, 40-minute main, even maybe hour main. What's some of the things that you do to help bulletproof your car to last through those mains? You know what I'm saying? What's some of the things you do?
Yeah. So when we're prepping, let's call it for a DNC main event, you know, it could range from 30 to 45 or a Roar Nats, 60 minutes, whatever. Generally, we're going to strip that car down to the ground
Yeah.
because we've already put a good hour of running on it through qualifying. So
Mm-hmm.
if you get an A main warm up or some kind of, you know, practice before, you never want to roll. You never want to roll right into a main event with fresh diff oil. I don't like it. I think the
Okay.
car changes the minute the diff oil gets contaminated, starts to break down. I don't like personally doing that myself. So with these type of races, these longer main races, you'll usually have an
Right.
A main warm up. So
Uh-huh.
we'll strip my car down completely. We'll rebuild all 3 discs. We'll check all the bearings. Same thing, hinge pins, arms, find any suspect parts that don't look
Okay.
right or could be, you know, an issue and a failure in a main event.
Yeah.
And those will get swapped out, replaced, whatever the case may be. But I'm basically starting that main event, or let's call it the A main warm up, with fresh diffs, fresh shocks, new tires,
Yeah.
charged receiver pack, check all my fuel lines for any cracks, a new air filter,
Okay.
to make sure, you know, it's going to get dirty. So you want to make sure it don't plug up by the end of the
Yeah.
main.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really it. I'll start with a fresh glow plug in my engine. I'll never, ever, ever start on a fresh gallon of fuel. So
Okay.
I never will ever start a main event like, oh, this bottle's empty. We got to crack a new one. My fuel, TNR racing fuel, is extremely consistent.
Yeah.
Some of the best fuel on the market since I switched to it for my program.
So
But still, same. I won't start with a fresh gallon. I'll make
so
sure that
why you
gallon's
gonna
been
start with
ran.
that fresh gallon? Why not? Why you don't like a
I
fresh
just
gallon?
I,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some. I think, I mean, it doesn't matter what your process is in making the fuel and blending it and
Yeah.
packaging it. I think there are some inconsistencies in the fuel. I
Okay.
think, you know, I mean, I do think that each gallon of fuel is a little bit different. It might not be enough to notice, but I'll give you an instance. I'll give you a case. I had no choice. I screwed up. I made a huge mistake at Silver State this year.
Okay.
We
What
ran the
happened?
40. We ran the 40 and over nitro buggy main event. I won that race.
Yeah.
We were excited doing our thing. We prepped the car. I had open intermediate nitro buggy race coming up next. We grabbed the gallon of fuel, and there was about enough for a bottle. And I said, "Well, shoot, we're screwed. We have to open a new gallon of fuel."
Yeah.
So I opened it. Keep in mind, I had COVID when this was going on. I didn't know it, but we all got sick at that race, and I had COVID. So I really wasn't in the right frame of mind, anyways. So
Yeah.
I told Chris, my fuel guy, I said, "Hey, Chris, I need a gallon of fuel." He gave me a gallon of fuel. I opened the gallon of fuel. I started fresh. I didn't use the other gallon. I filled
Yeah.
all my bottles in my tank with the new gallon of fuel. I retuned my engine. Flame out central. Just kept
What?
flaming out. And I didn't, you know, I wasn't able to tune my engine at, you know, real temperature
Yeah.
because I was just warming it up on a bench. So, you know, it was perfect. It was perfect proof
Right.
that my program worked and I screwed up. And it cost me, potentially could have cost me a win in that race too. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But it just, for me, being prepared in those situations
Yeah.
is more important than anything else you do with the race. Knowing your product.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, with that being said, with the engines thing, man, with the fuel, what's your perspective when you get ready for your main and you out there when you box tuning your engine? what's your technique for just getting a box tune on the engine before you get ready to go out? What how do you usually do that? Or
He's gonna hate me for this. A- Adam Drake tunes all my engines before my races. So I'll get them in the ballpark where I think they're good. I run all Adam's stuff, 82s, 81s.
yeah,
I'm salivating for the new 83 to come out. But yeah, I trust myself with tuning my own engines.
yeah,
But when I got a 30-minute main coming on the line, there's no one better than that guy. I mean, when I see him tuning on Mayfield's engines and Spencer Rifkin's engines and all these other, top level drivers' engines, he's there tuning them before the main. And
hmm
I have him at my disposal, being that I live locally to him. He
yeah,
breaks all my engines in. He tunes all my engines for me. And he gives me all my advice for carb restrictions and how much throw to pull and how much to open the slide. It's just, you can't beat it. You really
can't beat
can't
it.
beat it.
I got you. You might as well take advantage of that if he's there, like you said, he's around. So you might as
Yep.
well take advantage of the
Yeah.
of the opportunity. You know what I'm saying
Yep.
that you got. So yeah, ask
Yeah.
him.
And if you don't have a guy like him at your disposal,
Right.
there is a lot of very helpful videos online.
Yeah.
One of the videos, especially for OS based engines, that I found that I lead a lot of people to is JQ. Joseph's got some really good information on carb settings, how adjusting slide depths and idle gaps. I mean, that type of knowledge that you can gain from not just turning a screw and going, yeah, it sounds good, it's not blowing smoke, and I can go 12 minutes. Actually understanding what those needles do
Right.
when you close them off, what it does with your air to fuel mixture, how much more fuel to air you're getting, rich, lean, how important on an OS based engine setting your idle gap is. Like, Adam does videos on it. JQ does videos on it. I've seen some Gordon Ty Tessman videos on it.
Yeah.
At my caliber of racing and how long I've been doing it, I'll still resort back to some of those videos when I get into a pickle with an
Right.
engine that I don't have Adam at my disposal. And
Right. It
I'm,
makes
I'm like,
sense.
man, this thing's just not running right. Like, is something wrong with it?
Hmm.
Let me go to this JQ video or to Adam's website and pull the stock settings and mic my carb settings and get my carburetor back to OEM stock and then follow the lead after that to get it where it needs to be.
That's what's up.
95% of the time, it'll put me right in the direction where I need to be.
Okay. But yeah, Tyrone had a question right here. Tyrone Robinson had a question. He
Oh,
says,
Big T. Big
yeah,
T, that's my boy.
he right here. Yeah, man. I told you
Yeah.
everybody to be up in here, man. But yeah, he was
Yeah.
saying that he said, what are some of the things you work on with your pit man to make sure to keep your consistency? Like
Yeah.
calling traffic, telling you where you are on the track, just to help to keep your focus. So what's the things that you and your pit man, talk about back and forth on the headsets?
Yep. So for the longest time, I didn't use a headset. I
Yeah.
was old school. I wasn't using a headset. And we started using them 2 years ago. And it's changed my racing. In 1A scale racing, nitro racing,
Hmm.
headsets, in my eyes, headsets mandatory. Um, I so my father-in-law is my pit man. We've been doing it for a
Okay.
few years together that way.
Yeah.
I never have to ask him like, hey, should I be coming in? Whatever. Number one thing is you got to trust your pit guy.
Right.
You got to trust him. You got to trust that he's going to bring you in without running you out of gas. He's going to bring you in and get you out where you're not going to get out in a bunch of traffic. Um, and another thing is, I was bad at this, but your pitman's got to pay. He's got to watch your car the entire race
Yeah.
because he does. He's a spotter. He is a spotter for you. Hey, you're coming up on this section. You got 4 or 5 cars. They're all banging off each other. You got a 12-second lead. Just sit back and let
Hmm.
these guys single file out and then pick them off one at a time. Boom, 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 boom,
Right.
boom.
Right.
and move down the line.
Okay.
That is that is huge when it comes to these main events and qualifying. Most of these races that I race at and qualifying, if I have one or two crashes, I'm not TQing the event. I'm not
Right.
qualifying up front. I'm qualifying in the back.
In the back.
And you don't want to
Makes sense.
start back there. It's
Yeah.
brutal in the back.
Back. I already know. But yeah, man. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
and the one thing I want to know, as far as like doing your maintenance between your buggy and the truggy, is there anything you do different working on your buggy versus working on your truggy?
No,
Just
sir.
make sure everything tight and right, huh? And
Yep. Same vehicles. Just one's
yeah,
got big tires and bigger, and the other one's
yeah.
smaller. But no, same plan of attack. Same plan of attack. Don't do
So
anything different.
how important do you think is your mental toughness in RC racing?
One more time.
Mental, how important is mental toughness?
Oh,
In,
it's the whole thing. It's all of racing.
mm-hmm.
I always say, no matter a lot of these professional racers, including myself, we race with emotion, right? Like you're up there, you're emotionally, into this race. So you and there's a lot of reaction off of emotion, good and bad, right? I mean, you have a bad
Right.
race, you're gonna, your emotions are gonna react poorly. You're gonna make poor decisions, and you're
Yeah.
gonna have to deal with those at the end of the race. For me, um, I try to just keep a positive attitude. I try
Mm-hmm.
to remember that there's people standing around the track, younger kids, that might be influenced by my racing ability on and off the track.
Yeah.
My list of sponsors that watch me like a hawk, I expect for me to perform and act in a manner,
Right.
and so that's what I keep in my mind the whole time. I'm out here racing toy cars and enjoying it, but I'm also got people relying on me to help sell their product.
Exactly.
And if I make one bad decision or I act poorly, I
Mm-hmm.
make a bad decision, that's going to reflect my sponsors too, not just me.
Okay. That makes sense, man. Like I said, I've been trying to just, being racing, racing myself and just staying focused, watching my mouth, when those times it really get tense, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then with that, with even not only that, just staying focused and locked in on your racing, on controlling your car when it's chaos going on around you, you know what I'm saying, and not get caught up in that and
Exactly.
and
And
blowing
that's
out.
hard. That's
Right.
really hard because most people, you'll hear the pros talk about it and you'll hear it talked about in all forms of racing. You kind
Yeah.
of fall into a groove of the people you're racing around, right? So say you're racing, say you're a top 5 guy and you get a bad start or whatever, and the guys that are running around in the back of the pack are not your pace at a normal level, but you're running around with those guys and you're not trying to crash into them. You're not trying to beat and bash them. You're not trying to cause any damage to them. So next thing you know, you fall into their pace.
Right.
So now you're racing at their ability and their pace, which then causes you not to be able to keep up, with the track.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, that's a big thing. It's real
So
big.
it is very, very important to, that's why I always say some people say, oh, I don't really care about qualifying. Qualifying is not important to me. I'm a main event guy. And I've played on that card for a while.
Yeah.
I never was good at qualifying. I'm always the guy that hangs in there for the 30 minutes, and in the last 10 minutes of a race, here comes Eddie, and a lot of my stuff, and I'm sorry, I'm getting ready to go to soccer practice, so give me a second here. But yeah, so a lot of my races this year, even when I qualified good, I would
Yeah.
start at the front. I would have a mistake in the first 2 or 3 laps. I would go to the back. And then I would work my way back up. And next thing I would be back up in the race.
Back in the race, yeah.
So it's just, that's like I said, staying focused, staying in your race, making sure your pit guy is keeping you informed, or the race leader.
Right. He's probably
And
getting kind of crazy.
even even if you have a chance to even get to the front of the race, you might not even have a chance. Those guys might be faster than you. So, your pit guy might tell you to not push it and just sit back. You're going to get fourth this race. Bring it home.
Right. But yeah, man, like I say, bro, I ain't gonna hold you up. I know you gotta go play soccer. Go pick little lady up and y'all go to practice and stuff. Go play soccer and stuff. For soccer practice. But man, bro, I appreciate it, man. And um, one thing else I would really want to know. I think he froze up, y'all. But one thing else I want to know, man, before you leave, how do you
Here in a minute. So,
yeah,
but it was this was cool, man. I wouldn't mind doing another one where we could dive a little more into the racing side of stuff. I mean, that would be cool. Or get together with Jeremy or Tyrone, anybody. I like to
yeah,
spread what little knowledge I've gained over the years of racing cars, and maybe, like I said, help some people, help some of your family, transfer into from backyard bashers to racers.
race. That's it, bro. That's it, man. And like I said, one thing I want to know, man, how do you clean your pipes? Keep your pipes clean. How do
Oh,
you do it?
tell my pit guy not to spill fuel on him. I actually use Mr. Clean. So I'll take the pipe off. I'll plug both ports. I'll
Yeah.
use Mr. Clean and a red Scotch Brite pack.
I'm trying to get y'all some game, keeping the pipes clean. Me too.
But just so you know, if you
He
so
good
like
now.
all my OS pipes are just plain Jane. They don't got no logos on them.
I got you. Yeah. But man, hey, go and handle your business, brother. Like I said, I appreciate this opportunity, man. And we just appreciate you just coming out and just giving us some knowledge, man. And we like I said, we got to do this again. And just
For
be
sure.
safe, man. Going to soccer practice and tell you a little later that the RC family said hello and have a good practice. And hey, we appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. But yeah, y'all, we finna log out, man. And like I say, I always appreciate my RC family. And y'all, we gonna have some I'm gonna start up a Patreon, and um I'm always, accepting donations and stuff just to make the channel better. I want to get a soundboard for y'all and have some, sound drops and some stuff. And so I need y'all help, man, to help me get some of this stuff that I need to make the channel that much better. And also to go to races like RCGP. I want to take y'all out to DNC and show y'all hotel footage and everything up close and personal to some of these guys I really know, and do some stuff about how to, ship your stuff. So yeah, I'm letting y'all know what want to do to just expand and open up more opportunities for the RC family and myself. So yeah, I'm gonna start a Patreon page, and if y'all want to, feel free to donate to the channel anytime. You're free to do that, because your donations, they just give me more opportunities to do giveaways. And I like to give away stuff that I would like, not just fuel tubing, not just body clips. Ain't nothing wrong with those things, but I just like to give out stuff that I really want to use, like tires, maybe some engines. You know what I'm saying? Servos, stuff like that. That's really help you when you get ready to build a kit. All of it helps, but I just like to give away stuff that I like. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, donations are welcome. I'm gonna set that Patreon up. Y'all can donate to Patreon and just help the channel out and just help me grow. Like I said, I got um some more interviews coming up. I got that guy from Alasi Engines, Johnny. I met him at RCGP down in South Carolina. I'm gonna have him on. Um, I think we still got Jason Ronald coming up. Um, and some more. I'm gonna try to get some of these international guys too, y'all. So, but yeah, EKJ 24,000. If you ain't ripping, you tripping. Actions speak louder than words. Let them haters be your motivator. Left high salute. Catch y'all next time. I appreciate all of y'all. Y'all, the reason I don't yell, shout out too many like doing the interview because I just noticed when I say different names, I always say what's up in the chat box. Cause like when I do, what's up, buggy truck, it kind of, especially when I'm talking with a guest, it kind of throws them off of their answer that they're trying to give to a question. So y'all don't think I'm trying to be funny. I'm not. It's just the fact I don't want to, you know, cut off their line of thinking of answer to a question that may can help y'all. So I let them talk, you know what I'm saying? But I appreciate all y'all. That's what I'm saying is because I appreciate all of y'all. And I want to like I said, I always give back to y'all. And I just want to, continue to do a good job and give y'all a good show, get some good info that y'all can use and I can use and continue to grow. If y'all didn't subscribe to the channel, subscribe to EKJ 24,000 on YouTube. Hit that notification bell so y'all know when I'm on, know when I drop some dope videos. And I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. Oh yeah. And like I said, and super chats. Yeah, I got super chats coming up. Like I said, y'all feel free to donate, $5 or $10, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. And all is going back into the channel. And it's going back to anything that's going to help us all in this RC thing, and definitely going back to giveaways and it's gonna help me get out to better and bigger races, and then I can bring some stuff back from them races to give to you all. So that's it. And like I said, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Thank you for all the support. And I appreciate you. All right, y'all. Later.